Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be finally getting back to work on the ST220. So what are the plans for this one? Well, in this bunch of videos I'm going to be doing the front suspension, replacing the hubs and the bearings, and also at the same time replacing the drive shafts and the oil seals on the gearbox, and then replacing all the fluids. So as always, if you like the videos, hit the like button, show YouTube that this is a good video, and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. So let's crack on. Okay, so first things first, I've made sure I've got all the parts I need in front of us. Got a new bearing in this box. You can get the drive shaft nut here as well. You get the same nut with the actual drive shaft, which I've got indoors. The new hub. Some new shock dust covers. Over here on the floor, let me spin the camera. I have two new shocks, and I have a pair I've doubled up with everything so I can do both sides at the same time. So what's next is just to get all the tools together and crack on with the job. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is undoing this 32mm bolt that's holding the drive shaft on. You got a 32 socket. Over, use a breaker bar. Make sure it's on there. That's on there good and solid. Alright, I've tightened up a little bit there to try and get some levy on it. It moves. So there we go. So we don't need to undo this all the way, just enough to crack it off. So when we've got the wheel in the air, we can continue on to undo it. And now we need to loosen up the wheel nuts themselves. And now we'll jack the car up. And that's it jacked up and on an axle stand. I'll show you now where I've located it. So you can see where I've put the axle stand there. I've put it on the subframe bolt. You can do the same on the other side as well and get it off the ground. So next we'll finish undoing the wheel nuts and we'll take the wheel off. So let's crack on with that. And that leaves us access to undo the 32mm bolt nut. Sorry, we've got to take off the caliper and the carrier and hang that up and support it from up the top here on the suspension. Undo the track rod, the drop link, and everything else. So we're going to continue to dismantle this to the point where we're ready to start taking things more apart. So let's continue dismantling everything. So we're going to start by removing the 5mm Allen key and 17mm nut and the drop link. I'm going to use a HW7 on a ratchet to hold it. Putting the 70mm nut back on this so I don't lose it. Now it's time to remove the 70mm on the track rod end. Okay, that's not coming out, so get a hammer and hit on the edge around here. Hopefully that free it up. Nope. I'm gonna have to move the camera so I can get in there with a ball separator. Pinches between here, push on here and lifts it out and up. Okay, so I have the tool. How it works is you've got a 90mm bolt here. Ball joint here sits on, so let's try and get it in there. And the 90mm bolt sits on there. Then you do it up. It's quite difficult when you've got the camera in the way, so we'll give it a try. There you go. That's that bit done. So it's now time to remove the caliper and the carrier, to remove the disc. And behind here there's a couple of HW7 bolts, Allen keys. Let me flip the camera and show you. Okay, you've got one there and one just there. Look, take the caps off, it should just pop out. If not, get a flathead screwdriver. So with them sliding pins slackened off, you've got to support the carrier from the suspension somehow. So you can either use a cable tie or a piece of metal. You just got to undo this clip here on the front. And it's just supported there, out of the way for now. Time to get the carrier off so you can remove the disc. So the two bolts, one there, one just down here. They're 15mm. Gotta leave that in there. Well, that cracked loose, it was on there obviously tight. As you see, I've just knocked the camera flying. And now you can remove the disc. Right, obviously this is the part we're changing, and the bearing inside. Let's get the new one and just make sure they're all correct. Yep, so that's fine. So we're going to be changing these up. You can use this method, this process, to change the drive shafts as well, which is something I'm going to be doing as well. So what we've got to do now is this bolt at the back here and the bolt down the bottom here, they've got to come out. So I'm going to pull the knuckle down and out to use my press to remove the actual hub and the bearings in the back. I'm going to take out the ABS sensor here, and then we can drop the suspension down from the top with the 3 bolts at the top as well. So for now we're just going to aim to get the actual knuckle off and away from the car, and then we'll crack on with the rest of it in a second. So let's get the ABS sensor out. It looks like a little star piece, and get these bolts at the back and down the bottom done. These ones here, the pinch bolts, these are known for breaking. So what I tend to do is just use a bit of penetrant fluid on them, that side, and all down the back. Put a little bit on there. So let's get this part out first. Just carefully disconnect it and put that up out the way. You could replace these as well, so hopefully that just, no, that's going to spin, so that's not going to come out particularly easier by the looks of it. So now we've got to remember, this is a 15mm pinch bolt, so I might need a breaker bar on this. And being extremely careful. Not going to force it, see. I might end up having to replace the knuckle as well. I've got new shocks, new hubs, and everything's going to be replaced apart from the actual knuckle itself. So it may be that go out and get a replacement knuckle if these don't come off, and take the whole thing down as a complete. Can feel it, and you can see it here. So now we're going to concentrate and slacken off the ball joint for the wishbone here. It's an 80mm here and the T55 on the other side. When I say T55, I should actually show you what I'm using. One of these. Slackened it off. I ended up using my breaker bar on there because I actually just didn't have the leverage on it to crack it off. So as you can see, the rear pinch bolt is just going to round off, so I'm going to leave it in place, and I'm going to order some new knuckles and new bolts to replace it all. So what I'm going to continue to do is I'm going to continue to just remove the lower ball joint on the wishbone, and I'm going to get the suspension out of the way and undo the 3 top bolts, and I can put it all down and out of the way. So then I can get some new knuckles, new bolts and everything else, and just literally go all out and replace every single part on this car on the front suspension. So let me flip the camera, crack on, get everything down and get the actual suspension out. Let's crack on. So we're going to continue removing this bolt. It's easy enough where I've done it already. Just remove it, then give it a tap with a hammer. If I can find it. And now it comes. bought a new tool to help me remove this actual wishbone. This, right, this piece here goes over the wishbone here, then this bit goes on the bottom of the subframe, and ideally is give you a bit of extra leverage. But first I've got to tighten up the nut here, which so should do it. What I'm going to do is on the end there, because I don't want to damage the subframe, I'm just going to put a cloth over it because it's fresh paint, do you remember? Put that over there. Okay, and then we're going to have to move this up to the right part, unless that works. Yep. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, so I've moved the bracket piece here that goes over the wishbone to the next spot here. I've got it wedged under the subframe. And see if I can pull this down and that way, easy like that. Takes a lot of work out of it. Good tool. So what's left now is the 3 bolts at the top and the 32mm bolt here. Now I can pull that out of the way, but we're going to have to find somewhere to now to mount this to. So let's pop this out while I'm up here. So undo the 32mm bolt here. So we're going to remove this cover if you have them. Just lift up out of the way like that. They're actually 13s, but let's get them down. Before I undo these last couple, I'm just going to relocate the actual caliper onto something, so because the weight of the caliper is actually on the spring at the moment, so I'm going to relocate that a sec. So as you can see, I've relocated the caliper. I've put it on a toolbox with a few bits of wood, and it's taken the weight of it. There's no kinks in the actual hose here, so let's get the last couple of bolts out on the top and get this load out of the way. So now it's time to remove the suspension, the knuckle and everything else. The drive shaft you should just push in and it should slide down, but you've got to be really careful with this bit because this is heavy. And there it is, all out. And it's ready to replace the new knuckle, the new bearings, the new hub, the new strut and everything else. At this stage I'm going to be replacing the drive shafts now. If you're using this just to replace the drive shafts, you don't need to remove the whole arm, the whole suspension leg should I say. You can just pop it out of here and slide to the actual suspension to the side, and that should give you room to pull this out. So let me crack on and show you the new knuckles that I've had turn up. So in these boxes I've got my new hubs, driver side, passenger side. I've already had little butchers to see what they look like, make sure they're all alright. So driver side, so we're working on. In this box I've got the passenger side. Not only have I got the passenger side, I've got a bag of new bolts. So let's get a knife and separate the boxes and just work with the driver's one. Get that out of there. Right, let's get this out of here, shall we? There you go. Made sense, didn't it, to replace this part? And like I said, let's zoom out again. In here, we've got a bag of goodies. Some new pinch bolts. Thanks to the guys on some of the groups on Facebook with the car groups, they've helped me out. I couldn't find the exact bolts, and first time I've actually asked in the groups for a bit of help and come top. So that's a new pinch bolt. Ford have actually sent me 2 packs of 5 like that, so I've got an extra spare set. So I'll put them to the side. And in this other package, I've actually got some replacement wishbone ones that go down the bottom here for the ball joint. So everything here is going to be brand new. Okay, so I'm ready to put the new bearing in the knuckle and everything else. I've got my press set up here, I've got my plates here. On the bearing, there's 2 sides. You've got a silver face here and like a brown coloured face just here. This is a magnet this side, and that side you need to put to the ABS sensor. So I'm going to position that up like this. And when I say about the magnet, on the knuckle, you see that hole there, that's where the ABS sensor goes, and that sits upwards like that. So what we do, get it all set up, just set it there. I've got a bearing kit, and I'm going to use the collar for one to sit inside. So we keep it nice and centre. And then I've got, when I've done the bushes on the back of the car, on for the poly bushes, I kept one of the inserts, which proved handy for this. And fingers crossed, that'll do the job. It is going in flush, in case you're wondering what that noise is. So it's all good. It's gone in there nicely. Looks like it could go in about 1 mil or 2 more, so but look, that worked okay. All good. So it's now time to get the actual hub in. So what I'm going to do is the collar I used before to push the bearing into the knuckle, I'm going to place down like this way to cup it, so then the threads don't actually touch the plate. Then I'm going to get the actual knuckle, and I'm going to use another part of this bearing tool and just put it over this middle bit here, so like that, and then using piece of metal from the poly bush, from the old bushes. I'm going to use that on there again. Let's just see if it works. All done. And that's one done. Looks a lot tidier than the last one. I've got the other one here, let me just show you compared side by side. There you go, nice and new. Makes sense to replace everything. The old one, all that's left to do now, excuse me, is put the new strut on here, which is there. Get the spring off here and the dust cover, put them all in the new one. So I'm going to crack on with that and let the camera roll. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the spring. So we're going to take the pressure off the spring by using some spring compressors. So let's crack on. Okay, I didn't realise, guys, that my camera had died and missed some of that, but basically what I done is I ended up getting my buzz gun to pull off the bolt and nut, sorry, for the top mount, which is just there, as you can see. I took the spring off, they just slide up over the top. Now I've got a spare lot of these, or new set of the dust covers. Okay, so what's left to do now is get the spring onto the new strut, which is in that box just there, and reassemble it all. So let's crack on. You ain't missed much. If you want to actually see how the top mount comes off, that I'll put a link in the description or in the cards up the top somewhere to where that was done before, so you can just check on that one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we've got a new strut here. Got to cut this off because this will slowly go out, like so. There's actually a new 18mm nut on top, so we can use that. Okay, so get the new the protection kit. Zoom in a bit. Get the spring. Make sure the bottom part of the spring touches the nuts just here. Don't know whether you can see that. Like so. So that nut's just here. The bottom of the spring touches that. Zoom back out. Get your top mount. I'm going to need to compress the springs a bit more. Either that or this might pull out a little bit. No, I'm going to compress the springs a bit more. Take them off, do that. Okay, so I thought I'd bring you back in because I had to stop for a minute. I've carried on, basically what I've done is I've carried on compressing the springs. I'm going to continue on this side a little bit more, but we're nearly there for the top mount to go back on. So let's just crack on. Okay, so actual strut's spinning as I'm doing this up now. So what I'm going to do is carefully release the spring compressions. I'm not going to use the buzz gun for this because I want to take my time with it. And I will now do it like I've done it up equally on each side. That's that bit done. Zoom out, show you. So that's one side done. Just got to put the new knuckle here, tighten up the 18mm with the socket there. See these arrows here? That's the indication front of the car, which way it's got to go. So it's no good having it firewall like that. You've got to have it firewall front and back, so the arrow's got to face the front of the car. But that's that part done. Looking good. So I've got the new knuckle down here. I've tightened up the top 18mm there. So now it's time to spin this over and get the knuckle into place. Hopefully this goes in easy. And it does just like that. So I've got new pinch bolts. You'll notice that they've already got a bit of thread lock on them. In fact, where is my thread lock? Wouldn't hurt to put a bit more on there. Oop. Do this up 15mm. We'll go around and talk them all up afterwards. So I'm going to get my buzz gun. I know it makes a racket, but right, I've not done it right up, just enough to nip it, and then I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go around and torque it all up. What's left? What's next? And now it's time to put that back in the car. That was a quick put back. Just got to tighten everything down, get it all back, and we're pretty much there, good to go. But boy, does that look better. We're going to leave this out of the way for now because I've got to change the drive shafts in a minute, but that'll be in a completely different video. So guys, there it is, all back in place. There's just a few more little bits to do to finally put it back and complete it. It looks a lot fresher down here, it looks really good. But I'm leaving it here because I'm going to continue replacing the drive shafts, which will be in another video, and then I'm going to come back and finish putting this all back together. So see you in a minute. I'm going to get my wishbone lever tool and pull down on the wishbone so it can help slot it all back in. So as you can see, we've got the drive shaft back, the new drive shaft in place, which you can see in the other video. And I've started putting everything back together now. But all the one thing that's left is the ABS sensor just down there. So I'll probably end up buying some new screws. These are bolts, M5 12mm, and a new sensor, because the bolts for this are about £4 and the sensor's only about £6, £7 each. So I've gone all this far replacing everything, so I might as well replace them as well. But it is looking really nice, so continue to get it all back together and I'll bring you back in when it's all done. So there we have it, all back together. I'm going to take these off again in the future, clean them up, lick of paint, because it looks a bit out of place now. I've just got to do the ABS sensor, new drive shafts all in, you can see it in another video. It's all back together. Looking really nice and smart. Really chuffed with it now. So I am glad I replaced everything. I don't know if you see it, it's cold out here. It's getting dark as well. I'm tripping over everything. So yeah, it is cold out here and it is getting dark now. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm not going to film that because the process is exactly the same as this side. So if you like the video, leave a like. YouTube will see it's a good video and promote it all the more, help me out. And if you're a new viewer and haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, because I'm out here in this coldness as you can see. And but that's it. I'm well chuffed with that. 12-ton press, worked a treat to get them out, to get them in, should I say. If you want, I can show you how to remove the old bush from the other hub. If you really want to, just let me know in the comments and I'll do a short video on how to remove it as well. So anyway, that's it for another video. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.